You know me as the host of the Too Busy to Eat show, but I'm also founder and CEO of Too Busy to Eat, the protein bar company. I make what I feel is the healthiest and best tasting protein bar on the market. So now it developed from my own frustration of not being able to find a bar that tasted good and that was extremely healthy, that I could have maybe multiple times a day if I was really busy, or I could feed my kids and not feel guilty about what they ate. So I created this bar with grass-fed whey protein, no more than 3 grams of sugar, which is all naturally occurring, and it's gluten-free, non-GMO, the list goes on. So don't take my word for it. I want you to try them. And I want to give you incentive to try them. So I'm going to give you 20% off your first order. You can get a sample bag of bars, or you can get a whole box, whatever you want. Go to my website, toobusytoeat.com. Not hard to remember. Show, the company. And enter the promo code TBTE Show. TBTE Show. Actually, it's a discount box when you check out, and you'll get 20% off your first order, no matter how small or large. So go to the website now, try them out, and then let me know what you think. Welcome to the Too Busy to Eat show. Man, today you get to listen to one of the most interesting men on the planet. He is a juggler. He has changed his life by removing sugar from his life. He's a motivational speaker. He just is a fascinating individual. He has written a book, I Love Me More Than Sugar, The Why and How of 30 Days Sugar-Free, Amazon, #1 Amazon bestseller. He has a website, 30dayssugarfree.com, and also Sugar-Free Barry. He is amazing. I'm bringing you today Barry Friedman. Get ready to laugh and get ready to learn a lot. Well, welcome, Barry. Man, I am so excited to have you on the show. You're a dynamic individual. You got a great story, so welcome.
Yeah, maybe your first guest who can juggle 5 fire torches, too.
I'm pretty sure that's the first person.
It's a slim category. The funnel gets tiny there at the bottom.
Like 5 people in the world. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you're right there. That is fantastic. Yeah. That's funny you bring up juggling, because I'm a nutrition fitness podcast, but you do so many different things. You
with all the things it's funny, and that's what we do in life. We're juggling, and maybe that's a great metaphor for the name of your show.
That's right. Yes. Juggling health, man, juggling fitness, juggling, nutrition. That is absolutely right.
Yeah. We do get busy in this life. I mean, it's filled, and we're media and requirements of our family. In the old days when you and I grew up, Dad could go out and work and everything was pretty dang calm, and he got home, and now culture's not that way. Most of us have 2 or 3 things going on, and parenting's working. You're raising a couple of kids. I'm raising one.
It's busy.
This helps.
Yes, it does. Your background in juggling. So let's go. I want to talk about juggling in a second, but let's talk a little bit about you're known as Sugar-Free Barry. How'd that happen? Give us a little background on that.
Sure, man. It's funny. I was the guy. I think I was the 4-pack of Kit Kat bars. One of the happiest days of my life was when they started releasing the 8-pack.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, I don't know if I buy 2 of them now. I mean, I was just that guy. I was every American. I was every person in the world that eats what they want, doesn't think about it, has a 38-inch waist, the skin that looks dead and tired, the energy, the 2 p.m. crashes. And it was Leap Day 2012. Actually, it was the day before Leap Day. It was February 28th, 2012. My son, who was 9 at the time, said, "Daddy, what are you going to leap for Leap Day?" And Greg, he and I had just finished eating this gnarly frozen yogurt with the gummy bears and the peanut butter cups. And I don't know why it was. We'd done that many times before, and I just had this kind of sick feeling. And when he asked me that, I said, "I'm going to skip sugar for the day. I'm just going to literally try going the whole day without eating any foods that have added sugar." Well, fast forward the 29th, made it through the day, felt so powerful at night. Couldn't believe what had happened and how simple it was. It was literally just a decision. It wasn't like I had to call somebody. I had to buy new foods. I just kind of looked at labels and said, "No, I'm not going to eat that today." Ate some protein, ate a healthy breakfast, ate salads, made my own food, made a stir fry for dinner with no sauces in it. Right. And it was so simple. And I don't know what it was, but I woke up the morning of March 1st, 2012, said to my wife, I said, "I don't even feel like the same guy right now. And it's been one day. Wow. I'm going to try 30 days of this." And well, maybe it was around day 21. I said, good Lord, eating sugar right now again for me would be like buying a ticket, standing in line and waiting to see some movie that I really hated the first time. So I just said, that's one, I'm going to go a year. And man, I don't know. Leap day 2016, though, recently or a few months ago, passed my first real date anniversary. So
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's become very easy. It's amazing lifestyle. Changes have been everything from skin quality.
Right.
I don't know how good my camera is, but I look a lot better than I did in 2008.
You look good. You look good.
Weight loss. I have a 32-inch waist now.
Oh my gosh. That is awesome.
Your beast little figure there you got hiding behind that mic. I think from your shoulders, it probably continues down the same way.
Well, I don't need sugar. So man, I mean, that's why. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Sleep improvements, my numbers. I just went and got a full blood panel from a functional nutritionist. I just want to see what's going on. She goes, oh my God. She goes, people would pay for these numbers. So
that's awesome.
I think it's helped my life a lot. And
so a lot of times when you give something up, you replace it. So what was that for you? I mean, sugar I can think of for so many people is such a predominant source of their calories. What'd you replace it with? Yeah,
it's a big piece of the puzzle. What I started doing was I didn't cut out, and I know purists will say, this guy didn't quit sugar. I mean, I eat fruit.
Right.
I enjoy apples, like a ripe nectarine, plum, apple.
Sure.
I love these things. And, these are part of my life. I quit eating anything with added sugar in it. So, it looks like breads that have, a couple grams in every slice or cane sugar. Anything, 52 or so names for sugar.
Right.
Very remarkable to start looking at labels and see, they snuck that in. And all these alcohol sugars, the OUSE sugar, blanking on all the different names, but
it's so much. I used to do a webinar and I had a slide, and I can't remember all the names. I've seen them a bunch of times, but the slide took up the whole page of all these names of sugar, and it's mind blowing.
Yeah, sugar, and they all have this really interesting. They have effects on the stomach, especially when you clean up your diet, and that's what you're eating. Right. Constipation, stomach cramps. It's dangerous stuff. So you start looking for all those. So what I replaced it with was, I go old school, man. I eat like real food, man. Celery sticks with a little almond butter are like a heyday for me.
Oh, that is awesome.
Apples, I do some raisins. I do a small amount of almonds. And I make sure I chew nuts really well because I don't know if it's being 54 or what, but constipation, things like that. If I don't chew almonds really well, I can lock myself up for a couple of days. So, really, I'm just kind of careful with what I eat and what I don't eat. I love this picture. I still go to the hardware store where where every American store has the great shelf of impulse buys.
That's right.
Just thinking, man, I used to that was a big deal for coming in here with that candy bar. And I see the 8-pack of Kit Kat bars still there.
Oh yeah. I used to do the same thing. Check out. I mean, they got that is, I can't imagine what the percentage of people walking through that actually buy those. It's huge. I mean, I used to do it all the time. That afternoon crash, you're going through a store and you go get before I used to have to get a Red Bull and then, that goes great with it's Kit Kat or something else,
I'm not going to cheat myself out of that. But, it's funny to focus on, it's easy with, 30 days sugar-free, this challenge I run. It's really easy to focus on what you're losing. The truth is, what we get is so intangible to someone who's sitting there watching or listening to this right now and is eating sugar and has those 2 p.m. crashes and has heavy, thick skin and, probably has numbers that aren't real healthy. And sugar is a big stay of your diet. And before breakfast ends, you've had more than the World Health Organization recommends you have an entire day. It's hard to even imagine the life that's waiting for you on the other side. So, I created this tangible challenge of just removing something, right, so you can start feeling it. And people say, well, what about the potatoes? What about the rice? What about, all the things that turn into sugar?
Yeah.
Wonderful. And we can talk about that later. But knocking off this big, ugly.
Yeah.
God, it's just such a kickstart on being able.
I love what you did with that, though. Your life has changed. So you go ahead. There's 30 days sugar-free. You have that website, 30dayssugarfree.com.
Yeah.
So did you help people make the same change you made?
I do. I do day by day, hour by hour recipe coaching about, how to get through it. And recipes are tricky. I don't say like eat this for breakfast on the first day and the second day. It's like, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm a guy who's lived this. I've studied it extremely well.
Right.
Dug into it. But I have meal suggestions, meal ideas. I mean, I tell you ideas to pick from. I give you a shopping list that'll keep you clean for this 30 days. And really, what you do in your mouth, but there's a mindset game that goes on in this that's so incredible. On day 4 of my challenge, I have an audio greeting every day. And on day 4, I kept, even though I've updated those throughout the years I've been running this challenge, I kept the day 4 one because I was on a massage table in my house with my wife literally holding down my shaking body, me crying. And it wasn't even that I wanted sugar. It was just every system, the emotional, the somatic, the neurological, the emotional, every system in my body got together and said, make this SOB turn around the ship right now. And man, it was ugly. It was like at that point, if I had caved, I know there are thousands of people around the world who would have never experienced this.
Right.
Retaining some humility as I say this, there's a lot of lives that have been changed and saved and relationships and ripples that go out. And I'm glad I stayed there and just lived through that day 4 because there's a hero's journey day in this for each of us.
That's actually an amazing thing. Doing my weight loss counseling, that day 4 period that's what I actually in my email sequence to my people in my program, when I used to do these programs, it was the same thing. I was like encouraging them, you're going to feel, you're going to feel terrible. You might feel like you might think you're sick. You might have the flu. You're just breaking the addiction. It's like any addiction. Like if you're breaking it from a drug, your body is rebelling, but you got to get through it. And that's why your program's so powerful. That's great.
Totally. And for me, it was day 4. For some people, it's 3, 4, 5. I mean, it's in that first week. Yeah. And day 1, you've probably heard this from your people too, and maybe some of the listeners who have done some sort of huge transformational leap have felt this. Like you go to sleep on night 1, like I was on Leap Day 2012. You're like, man, why haven't I always done this? It's a great high.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It is because you get that first feel, but if you can capture that and that's why your program's so awesome is that you're walking people through what you did, and it's not it's a real. I like how you did that. 30 days. Okay, so hey, let's just make that commitment. Take one step. A 30-day challenge. It's not like, hey, step up. Let's lose 120 pounds in the next 6 months. No, you're saying, hey, give up sugar. Do it 30 days.
And I tell you, day 25, on this challenge, I really get into it with people. I say, hey, let's talk about the big white elephant in the room here. What are we coming up on and what's going to look like? And, do you want to go back to how you were? Do you want to make another tangible goal of another week, another, 30 days? Or do you want to just say, hey, I did this thing and, I can't wait for a Snickers bar. Let's call it. Let's own it. Let's not be victims of it.
Right. That's funny. Is it one of the things off the checklist? But I would have to say that people that actually follow your advice and go through the 30 days at the end, they have to feel so good all the way around that they can't go back. I mean, you just can't. I know people fall into patterns again because of a stressful situation, but they know what they should do, and I'm sure even people that regress, they fall back in your program. Yep. I know they're going to return.
Well, they do. Yeah. I mean, and it's funny. Once I always call people 30-dayers for life. They never have to re-enroll. They never have to do anything again for the program. And I love it when people come back. There's a button on the membership page on the member area that just says restart on the 1st. We start on the 1st of every month. And man, I love when people kick back in. And we have a private secret Facebook group for challengers around the world. And I tell you, some stuff's written in there that just defines, it fills me with love and joy and strength that I continued on to do that because I see the transformations and how it affects relationships.
I know you've worked with thousands of people, but is there certain ones that stand out to you, like testimonials that were just overpowering?
There is. And I think you can probably find it on my site somewhere, but there's a woman in Louisiana, where we all love to go and eat that rich.
That's right. Sweet tea.
Yeah. Sweet tea. But she's been amazing. She even says it on a testimonial video on my website where we did one where we talked about the challenge. And you can see that at 30dayssugarfree.com. She talked about how she was I'm not great on ladies' dress sizes, but she was a size 18 and just so unhealthy. And, and gosh, she's been with it. She was one of the original challengers back in 2013 when we first started this challenge, October. And she checks in every once in a while, and she said on this video, she says, I'm a size 4 now. I don't even know what that means in sizes. It's a big.
Oh, yeah.
And she's happy and alive and glowing. And her husband, who was on the edge of death, finally, after a year of her doing it, saw it and jumped in. And this couple now, I mean, I just laugh. I love Monique. She's an amazing lady. And whenever I see a post from her in our group, I just usually take a screenshot of it and share it everywhere I can because really a picture of what I did. And, I don't know that I'm the right person to be talking to. Most of the market that comes to this, most of the who follows this is Midwest women or
right.
50 and above. And I'm a big, huge bald dude in California. I don't know that I'm the guy. So I love when people who represent the others who are in there actually talk about it. And other people. But when you ask me who comes to mind, I always think about me.
That's great. Well, I mean, your audience is probably, I mean, everybody, this is like, there's a lot of advice that we'll share that is, I share personally, or guests that come on the show will share that is good for most people, but not for everybody, and there is nobody that won't be impacted by giving up sugar. It's universal. There's nobody that thinks, you're okay on sugar. Nobody's okay on sugar.
It's funny we're talking right now, Greg, because there's so much coming out right now about this 50+ year lie of big soda sponsoring research and really influencing. And it's all breaking now. I guarantee you, mark my words. I've been saying this for about 3 years now. Soon, and it's going to be sooner than I thought. I thought it would be 5 to 7 years when I first said it, but I think it's probably any month now. We're going to start really looking at big sugar the way that we have been looking at big tobacco for the last
absolutely.
Lives worth. It's out of control. I mean, millions and millions, 3-digit millions of dollars given by Coca-Cola, Pepsi to health groups, American Heart Association. And now it's all starting to boil down. When someone's giving that kind of money to an agency, guess what? They have a say in what comes out. Yes. And we're going to look back at this the same way we look at tobacco right now. I agree 100% with you. Katie Couric did a good job. I mean, it's been out for a while, but there's a documentary, Fed Up, by Katie Couric. She did a good job of bringing that to light. And but that's a couple years back. Now there's even more. I mean, more evidence, more stories coming out, which is just That's a good one. I flew down to LA to attend the premiere of that.
Oh, you did?
Stephanie, I forget her last name there. She was there. And I went up afterwards, gave her one of my books, gave her a bracelet, a 30-day sugar-free bracelet.
Yes.
She just smiled and hugged me. And there's a whole line of people behind. So I just said, I think we've had our moment.
That's right. Yeah, that's great. Really cool. That's so awesome.
Love it.
So, you mentioned your book. I did see #1 Amazon bestseller. I Love Me More Than Sugar. The why and how. There it is. That's better to see it right. I love the cover. That was great.
And aren't those lips something, man? That's the love.
That's true. That's how people. I mean, it's an addiction. Well, I can go too many directions. Let's go back. Let's talk your book, and then I'll ask you something else after a second. But tell me about your book a little bit.
Yeah, the book is basically a breakdown. We have been bribed, rewarded, and punished with different forms and quantities of sugar ever since birth. Most of us, anyone probably listening to this can relate to it. If this makes it out into the outstretches of Africa and where it's starting to invade and people are starting to feel it, you're heading this way. But, does this sound familiar to hey, great job on that. Let's go get an ice cream. Right. You're a bad girl. No dessert for you. I mean, this stuff is ingrained since we are so little. And the big difference between this and tobacco is tobacco had to wait till kids were 12, 13.
Right.
Now we can start in the cradle and it's out of control. So rich people back in the very rich days, I mean, we're not going back centuries. We're going back, 100 years. 120 years. Rich people would eat 4 pounds of this stuff a year. 4 pounds. Now we're eating 150.
Oh my God.
We have not evolved fast enough to handle the impact of that. So the book tells a lot of stories. It's got interviews with alumni who have gone through the challenges. It's got recipes. It's got my 30-day sugar-free coaching program. So dig into it. I'm really proud of it. I'm a guy who didn't study this. I'm a 4-time world juggling champion who's traveled all over. Penn Jillette of Penn & Teller just wrote a great book. El Presto, How I Made 100 Pounds of Fat Disappear. I love the book, and he says a great line, which I can steal exactly. Yeah. If you take diet advice from a juggler, you're an idiot. Get a doctor involved. This book is a personal tale of what happened and how I've helped thousands of people. It's a report on there. I tell you, no one's ever come out of this thing sicker than they went into it.
Right.
And also, that said, if you think there's a risk, if you have some sort of direct dietary condition, some challenge, something a doctor should know about, Yeah, talk to a doctor about it.
Right.
And if you have a doctor tell you, hey, don't go 30 days without foods that have added sugar, could you have them give me a call? I would love to interview. I really would.
Yeah, there needs to be some, some board, checking his credentials if he's telling you not to use added sugar.
Maybe we could talk. I'm one of these guys that really likes to consider the source of where I get the information. So, because everything's out there in the world, so we need to look at that. I went to a doctor recently. I had a weird, which led to the blood panel I just talked about, but there was a strange reading, and he was there was a high reading, a liver enzyme or something on my thing. And he goes, I want to take a biopsy of your liver right now. It's a quick thing. We poke in. Greg, I looked at this guy. He must have been 150 pounds overweight. And something in me went, run.
Right.
And I honored that. I listened to that gut intelligence of mine. I said, I'm sorry. And I'm going to tell you something real straight from a guy who just met you. I don't trust you. I don't trust the way you're holding your body, the way you're living your life, and I'm not going to let you put a needle in.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah. I went to another doctor in town, another hematologist. He said, dude, I guarantee you have a flu, a virus of some sort that's landed in your liver. Come back in 6 months. I went back, got that reading. It was totally normal. I got the full blood panel. And I just think, man, we have to trust this gut intelligence.
Yeah, you're right.
Strong inside of us. And boy, that went off. And that doctor, man, he kind of kicked me out of his office, and I can tell he really took in what I was saying. But
yeah, well, that's
no trust.
That if he listens to that, that could be life changing for him. Maybe he will realize that he can't be helping people get healthy when he's not himself.
He was just a Hercules. Yeah,
I remember when I started getting into the nutrition and really gaining more traction in the world. I would have my doctors would ask me questions. I'm like, I'll love answering them, but shouldn't this is I feel like going to the doctor that this is something they should know, but they don't. And then medical school isn't set up for that. I just interviewed a doctor that actually teaches at a medical school, and they still won't allow some of the teachings that he knows that are factual from the basically on the low carb side of the spectrum.
Right.
And it's just amazing that he's teaching doctors and he knows what to teach them, but there's restrictions on that. So,
and what's that driven by? Is there a money trail leading back to him not being able to talk about that? I know with sugary drinks and soda, there's a money trail.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it probably, if you could trace it far enough, it probably is. But the reality is it's the regulations, the government regulations, their accreditations they're worried about, so these are all governing bodies, and they have to get approved. So I'm sure if their curriculum is a little bit over the edge, then, it puts them at risk. So people don't want to do that. So, he does a great job. And this person I interviewed, he does a great job of educating people outside of that, which is what we're going to do.
Well, I'll implore your listeners right now to trust your gut instinct, trust your independent research,
yes,
and follow back. Look who's sponsoring. And really, what is it when we pick up a Snickers bar? No one's thinking this is really good for me right now. If you do, leave a comment below. Tell me. Email Greg, forward it to me. If you really think it's something you should be doing.
There's no, it's just common sense. We know it's not good for us. We know. Now, the Snickers bar triggered a question I was going to ask you before. What is the journey you've been on with your son? Because I'm a nutrition guy. My wife's really healthy. I still... the influences outside our home with our kids, I still battle that of what they, because they get exposed. They have things that are sugar in them because they're out with friends or they're doing this. And, once in a while we'll indulge to a small degree, but they, especially my son, he wants it all the time. This is what he desires. So what about your journey with your son? How has that been?
Yeah. And it's interesting. Really, the best thing that we can do in our life is model, right? We get to model who we are, and that stays with them. And then we also have an opportunity to control really what we can control. The foods we eat. My son is very low sugar, but a far cry from sugar free. I was going to bring up a fun screen here, just to show you something. He went. Was that it? Yeah, we went to his birthday party. Yeah, this is good. I wrote let me just share the screen real quick with you guys.
Yeah, that's great.
I wrote this blog entry here about, is it showing now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting in the presence of sugar. 3 tips for sitting in the presence of sugar. And this is my son here with his, this was his birthday. I mean, that is a gnarly hot fudge sundae right there.
Yes, that is.
And there's great joy. So in this blog post, I wrote just kind of how I deal with that and the modeling that gives to him. It lets him see that, my parents don't do this and they're okay. They're people I respect. They're healthy. They're 54. My dad just did the Squaw Valley Half Marathon.
Oh my gosh.
And he has friends. So really all we get to do, and these are the ripples I talked about a little bit earlier. These ripples will plant themselves and they'll go out and they'll carry in his life, and he's independent.
Right.
He comes home with a big donut from a place. There's no talk from me. There's no nothing, but I'll sit down and enjoy it with an apple with him, And,
right.
Boy, we can bang our heads against a wall, but we're fighting an uphill battle here. And boy, I'm really happy. Your daughter, your son, my son, this generation is going to have a lot of new information.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. If by the time he's our age, up in the in our age, if the number's gone down to even 100 pounds of digestive sugar a year, that's a big drop.
Yeah. And that would reflect on the nation's health. I mean, we see the obesity epidemic. It's all tied to the increase in sugar intake.
Charts of sugar consumption alongside with of obesity, diabetes, they're parallel.
Exactly.
We can argue about it, but math is good. Math hasn't lied for a long time.
Yeah. And charts are really hard to, when you look at a chart and it's like, oh, hey, this is. I think a kindergartner could trace, and see that those are going in the same direction.
Daddy, they're even.
And they follow the same pattern. No, that's fantastic. Now I know this is probably for you. This is a very simple question. I always ask, what's one piece of advice you could give somebody? If you boil it all down, what's one piece of advice? I'm pretty sure that I know what yours is going to be, but let me ask it anyway. So if you met somebody on the street and they're like, hey, I want to change my life. I want to change my health. What's one piece of advice you'd give them?
I would tell them to get a piece of paper, and I've never said this before, but when you're asking me, this is what it comes to. If they truly want to change something in their lives, you have to get clear, first of all, is this something I want to change, or is this something I don't want to change? Really get clear on it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and go to the next level, you may not think I want to change my diet, but you may think I want to feel healthier. So what are the steps? I want to feel healthier. That's something I can get really clear on that I want to change in my life. And then get a piece of paper and in your favorite font, print out in like 70-point font and put it somewhere where you see it all the time. Change takes change.
Oh, that's awesome.
We are not going to continue doing the same thing and will ourselves to be healthier. But I'm a living example. There's thousands of other living examples. And you can do very simple things to change your life. And, another piece is, let me just throw this on top of this as a thought for you to think when you're looking at that change takes change. Going from 0 to 1 is an exponential growth that no math can explain. It's a leap of faith. It's a hero's journey to come around and get to 1. Going from 1 to 2 is only 100% increase. It just gets easier as you do the little steps. So what's the smallest thing I can do? And maybe, it's funny when people go to 30 days sugar-free and they click away, they go, oh, this is too intense. A little pop-up comes up that says, hey, do you want to do 1 day sugar-free? And it's great. It's a tangible goal. And I put your email in there. I will send you the latest things and guide you through with probably 5 or 6 emails throughout the day. Here's what you eat. Here's what you do. Here's what you write a message to yourself. Here's how you go to sleep. I mean, 1 day is a huge thing. So
yes.
Break the goals down into something where you can feel successful. Don't set yourself up for failure. We've all done that way too many times in our life.
I am so glad I asked you that question because I thought, well, he's a sugar-free guy. He's going to say no sugar. That is fantastic. That's some of the best piece of advice I could give anybody to change anything, any behavior. So to get a hold of it, just to make sure, we said it a couple of times, but 30dayssugarfree.com. It'll be in the show notes. I encourage you to go, connect with Barry. He's changing people's lives. He's changed his own life. I mean, you obviously listen to the show. He's passionate. He's funny. He's entertaining. So what an amazing program he has. I just encourage everybody to check it out. Barry, thank you so much for your time.
I'm going to make
go right ahead.
I'm going to make a fun little landing page at 30dayssugarfree.com/TBTE.
Awesome.
And I'm going to put a fun video on there that you guys should click over and see right now, because I'm going to put a couple of ideas for just eating, having fun, playing bigger, laughing, connecting relationships, whatever it is. I'm going to make something up because I've had a good time with Greg. Even before we hit record, we had some fun.
No, we did. That's right.
All right, we'll dig into that.
Fantastic, Barry. I can't thank you enough. That we'll have that in the show notes. We'll get people there. Thank you so much for your time. You're awesome.
Take care, Greg. Thanks.
All right.